Hello, everybody. Welcome to camp. Good to see everybody.
Let's go.
Just a reminder that I'll call on you, flag me down. I got a list. And please let us know your name and your platform before your question, the first question that you ask. With that, we will get started with Calvin Watkins.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Good morning.
Morning.
Jay, what have you seen this offseason that gives you confidence that this team can get back to the playoffs?
Well, maybe confidence is not the word I might use. What I've seen in the offseason gives us a chance, and we have the goods, so to speak, to really change up parts of the team. That had 9 of 11 coaches on defense. That's a material change, and the system that's going to go with it, that's a material change. So what I'm excited about is that I really believe that we can do something. The last time there were this many changes of any team that I've been involved in, where we changed the system, changed out all the players, and plus changed out the coaches, was the first year with Jimmy Johnson, and we won 1 football game. So we know that changing out and starting new can obviously create quite a challenge. But I like what we've got to work with. I, of course, have a lot of confidence in our head coach, Shotty, and have a lot of confidence in the coaches that he's involved. I believe we were adding it up. We probably interviewed as many as 40, it could be 45 coaches that we interviewed. And so we were looking for the best that we could get our hands on, and made the decision with the ones that we've got. I think that's going to make gives us something to be positive about. I think we can build on it, and I think we can have some success.
Dak Prescott had a Super Bowl jersey, Super Bowl t-shirt on. Tyler Smith said it's realistic we can get to the Super Bowl. What do you guys think about those aspirations?
Well, I sure like to. I'll speak first. I like the idea that thinking that positive about what we're going to work for. We've got a long way to go, really having started in our spring. But that's good to me to be positive, especially coming from him. He's a big part. He's got a first-hand feel for what we can do, certainly on his side of the ball. And I like it. I like him to be thinking of that success level.
Clarence.
Clarence Hill, DLLS Cowboys. Welcome back, Jerry. We haven't heard from you since the draft. It's been a drama-free offseason. Can you just talk about if you feel that way, there's like no contract issues or anything over and over his team? Does that lend yourself to believe that we have a different outcome coming this year?
Yeah, and Clarence, I never left, so don't need to tell me welcome back. You and I just haven't been laying eyes on each other. Okay. So seriously, I like the idea that the word is that we have had a quiet off-season relative to, dare I say, off the field noise or chatter, whatever you want to call it. I like that. That hasn't been the case. We've had a lot going on, and we've had to really scramble a lot, the kind of stuff that you don't see. But that should be that way. It's supposed to be hard. But we've had a very active, we have made a lot of decisions. We have made a lot of difficult decisions in my mind. But consequently, what might have started out as a really nice, let's take it in and let's get it all, let's take it to the shop and repair it up. What started out that way, especially on defense, we ended up turning it into something completely different than it was when we started. So we even did more than I could have anticipated when we started. And I personally like the fact that the perception is that it's been a quiet, non-confrontational off season. That's good. I have really a lot of that where I live in my mind. I do, but I have some times when it's not fun too. So all of that's good. I like the mood. I like what we're coming to camp with.
Get back to the Super Bowl talk real quickly. Dak said he feels you have a better chance to get to the Super Bowl this year because of all the changes you've made. He said, our goal is Super Bowl every year, but this year we have a better chance because of the things you did off season. Do you feel the same way?
Well, I would say this: Dak's feeling about it is more important than me feeling about it, because Dak actually tangibly can cause his teammates to play at a higher level than I can. So when Dak is that positive about it, that adds some credibility to it. I too can say that the fact that Dak is looking at what he's looking at causes me to feel the same way. I think we've got a chance to really be good. It's going to be hard. It's going to be nip and tuck. As old Switzer used to say, we're going to burn some of these wagons on the way to California for firewood. We're going to lose some folks. We're going to have some barn, but the wagon train's going to get there. So bottom line is, I love the excitement. You guys, for all practical purposes, don't expect us to be a contender in the Super Bowl. Y'all don't. Why would you? I like that. I do. I like that. And I like what we put together to show you that we can do it.
Lindsay?
Hi, Jerry. Lindsay Theory from ESPN. You said you like the perception that it's been a quiet off season. A year ago, you did mention that you like to sometimes stir things up so that we are always talking about you. So was it kind of a conscientious decision going into this off season to keep what you guys were busy with quiet and more behind the scenes than being maybe stirring things up in front?
Yeah. I've never thought that there was anything quiet or subdued about the Dallas Cowboys. I never thought of it that way, but I have been guilty of stirring it up, and you guys helped me. And we have been a great team. I promise you that, for the last 30-something years. And so that does happen, and it is good. I don't believe it makes one iota worth of difference on whether or not we block the guy or go off tackle. But I do like the perception that we've had a quiet, uneventful off season, and let's see how we can work in that. Perception is big. Perception is big. But what I will tell you is I don't plan on doing anything around here for the next few days to stir anything up.
John?
John Machado with The Athletic. For Steven, as you come out here, you look at your roster, do you feel like everything you need is on this current roster, or could there still be potential moves to be made?
I think there's always moves that you can make to be better. I mean, we're entertaining thoughts on players as we speak right now. I mean, Will does an amazing job of, getting the players and putting them in front of Jerry, myself, Shotty. And so we're always looking for ways to get better. I will say that I think we've done a good job of putting together a roster that's going to take the field today. They were out there working working out. That gives us a great opportunity to really do the things that we want to do, which is be a lot better than we were last year, and hopefully compete for a Super Bowl. That's every team's goal. I'm sure if you ask 31 other teams in this league, their goal is to win the Super Bowl. And certainly when we go to work every offseason, that's our goal. And but I do feel like we've done a really good job of doing the things that we need to do to improve not only coaching but also players to give us that opportunity. But the other answer to your question is no, we're not finished. I mean, we're going to look for opportunities every day to improve this roster. And obviously, guys will go out on that field, they'll compete, and some guys will really show up. You'll be really pleased. And, you know, like any team in any given year, even in years where we won Super Bowls, you're looking for ways to improve. You know, as you go through training camp, into the preseason, and then ultimately into the season, you're always looking for ways to make your team better.
For Brian, with Donovan Azzarato, Jerron Bland, do you expect them both to hit the ground running right from the beginning of camp, or will they need some time to get acclimated? And is there any other players that might
No, Easy and Duran will be the two guys that we'll just monitor, but we don't see any restrictions. We're just going to be smart with them because they missed the spring. But we're very, very healthy going into camp, and hope that continues.
Thompson's ready to go?
Yeah, doing great.
We don't see any PUPs or NFIs at this point. You know, obviously they got to do a little workout here, and we'll see. But right now, you know, talking to Jim and Britt, we don't feel like we'll have anybody start on the PUP or the NFI.
Nick.
Nick Harris, 4-Star Telegram. Jerry, you kind of alluded to it a bit ago. A lot of change on the defensive side of the ball, so there's a process that you're going to have to trust throughout training camp in this season. How do you balance trusting that process, but also with the urgency to win?
We don't have any alternative. We made that bed when we brought in new scheme, new coaches, new players. We're going with new right there. So I've bought into that. That's going to happen. We're here now. In dealing with it, we've got to start out here right now, doing as best we can, and bringing that thing to opening day, and having these guys as ready to go, and having the new guys that are new to being here at Oxnard and Cowboys, have them ready to go. One other thing I'd say that Stephen was commenting on is, candidly, I'd be very interested. I'd give up future to add substantive to where we are today as to a player, to give you an idea about would I invest something substantive to get the right kind of deal to improve us opening day. I would. I feel that good about this team this year. And of course, you know that I haven't seen this team play together. And so, but in general, looking ahead, I think we've got a chance to be worthy of spending some future if we saw an opportunity.
Are those kinds of conversations that are ongoing, or is that something, hey, let's look at the first 2 weeks of camp and then address to see if you want to put something substantive?
I talked to yesterday. I talked about a situation yesterday with another team and another owner. Yesterday.
Patrick.
Hey guys, Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Jerry, Steven, Coach Brian, welcome back.
Thank you.
This is more so to you, Coach Shoddy. Obviously, you come out to Oxnard just like last year. This year, your task list is probably a little bit longer because you have some things that you want to improve upon over last season. Speaking generally, leaving Oxnard in the next 3+ weeks, what do you need to see happen out here to be able to say, you know what, we did everything that we needed to do to be contenders to start the season?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the work ethic, the way we practice. You know, I've made it very clear we expect to have very physical practices, not only against ourselves, but we got the 2 joint practices against New Orleans and the Rams. And so I look forward to that. I'm going to go back to Nick's point, like, competing against the defense every day. I'm very confident in what they can do. The scheme it fits us well. The personnel moves that we made in bringing in Rashawn Gary and D. Winters and Caleb Downs and Malachi Lawrence, all those moves that we made, it was not a quiet offseason for us. And it was a great offseason for us. And one that we worked extremely hard on, starting with the coaching search. And I feel amazing about what we did, bringing in the defensive staff changes with Christian Parker leading the way, and then into free agency and getting Jalen Thompson, a guy. I mean, it has not been a quiet offseason. It's been an awesome offseason, and I think that's why we're excited. But now the goal is the Super Bowl. We don't shy away from that, but you got to trust the process. We haven't even had one practice yet. We've had a little bit of mobility run today, but the first practice is tomorrow. We get through this ramp up, but I think you're going to see a very, very confident football team coming out of Oxnard.
Quick follow-up to that. I know that you want to have physical practices, and what's the challenge, though, of upping the ante in that capacity, but also living within the CBA restrictions of doing so?
Yeah, there's less restrictions. There's more caps when you get to training camp. The spring practices or the OTAs have more restrictions than we do, but we do everything letter of the law. And if it's an hour 30-minute, which is what tomorrow will be, we'll be right at that. But you got to get better playing football by playing football, and that's what we're excited about.
Jane.
Jerry, you didn't say it loudly, but the word substantive stood out to me. You were engaging with the Raiders about giving something up substantive as it related to Max Crosby. Now, you don't have to tell me it is Max, but could you, one, why did you walk away from Max Crosby when it fell apart with the Ravens and not revisit that then?
We didn't. No, no, because there's nothing more to elaborate about, but we did not walk away. That's about all there is to say because, we understood his injury well, and so we thought he could help us then, and we're surprised the way that was resolved, but to basically take what happened with him after he came home from back to the Raiders, to inject anything about what we're thinking or doing in because he went back to the Raiders would be a mistake.
He's a Raider.
He's a Raider.
With that being said, would a player of that caliber be someone that you would be willing to engage with another team in 2 weeks, so that we're not all speculating?
Again, let's don't hypothetical here and use specifically a player in a hypothetical situation. That is tampering. That really is. And so we don't want to talk like that and act like that. But that is a good example of what you can stand ready if in fact you think the rest of your team is coming along well, then those things stay alive. If all of a sudden you don't think it's coming along well, then those things don't stay alive. It is a good indicator of how good we feel about the team, the fact that we could do things like you're talking about right there. Now, I really got to emphasize here, because it is flat. He is such a Raider. He's complete a Raider, happy a Raider, everything in the book. And we shouldn't even be having this kind of discussion with him.
Fair enough. I just wanted to follow up, though, in terms of when you said that you would be interested in adding those players, has that been part of the process this year of, you guys really, you've talked in the past about looking in the mirror. You've talked about the windows closing. And the last time that you really did this sort of soft rebuild was back in the early 90s. Have you guys been very deliberate as it relates to this roster and then waiting to not get one of these big fishes possibly in the offseason, but waiting to see what your team looks like heading into camp?
No, let me say this, and that was a mouthful for your question, and a good one. Seriously, very much in that look is looking right over there and looking hard and looking at our coach. Okay, how is he? This is second year, his 33rd year in the NFL on a coaching staff, but his second year as coach or some number. But you look at that, you look at what we have, you look at our quarterback, you look at our quarterback room, you look at all of that, and then you come up with a feeling. The feeling is that if we could get some things done right, avoid that injury bug at some key areas, we got a shot to make something happen here. I think the material, so to speak, or the players, the scheme, the measure of success we had on offense last year, the projecting of our offensive line being more efficient than it was last year, whether it be the player, whether it be as a group, as a team itself, all of those things are in place, and it feels good. Now, we're going to have to read the tea leaves as we go, but we're operating as though we got a chance to be one of the better teams.
Joe Trahan.
Joe Trahan.
Joe Trahan, WFAA TV. This question is for Jerry and Shotty, and it's about the scope and impact of the brand on your players. Because your brand is so paramount, we can't talk about the lack of Super Bowl success for the last 3 decades. We just can't because you're too big. My question is about the message to your players in terms of what you tell them about dealing with the brand itself and also not letting that shadow affect their performance and how they get to be the best players that they can be.
If we had done nothing but win Super Bowls over the period of time you're talking about, what I'm going to talk to them about in a few minutes wouldn't have helped them at all with what's ahead of them tomorrow, the next day, opening day, and this season. It is inconsequential. Okay? So it really is whether we have the kind of execution we want in the offensive line or whether or not we have the kind of discipline we want on our defense. As much as I'm a big believer in tradition, and it's such a big part of the entertainment and the game, it is not a prerequisite to being a good team this year as to what we have done the last few years. Now, if there are players on this team and coaches on this team that one of the reasons we haven't been to a Super Bowl, they're there and they don't improve, that's legitimate. But it's not legitimate worrying about how long it's been since you've been to a Super Bowl as to the first step they make on this football field out here. So that's the approach.
That's part of what I'm saying, right? 30 years ago has nothing to do with, what they're trying to do. What's the message? Because again, we're in a different world here with the scope of social media and what these guys have to deal with as players. And unfortunately, they can't tune it out the way you'd love for them to just say, hey, filter out the noise. It can't happen anymore because social media has become too big. So how do you manage that and foster the message correctly?
Well, you talk about the pride. The pride of putting on that star is different. I get up every morning, I put on this shacket, whatever you want to call it, the visor. Our guys put on their jerseys and their helmets, and they're proud of being a part of this. That's why we go to the lengths of having the legends back, and we let Drew Pearson stand up in front of the team and talk about their time. And that was their time, and it was awesome. But it's our time now. And now what we do on the field is what matters. And so we celebrate the tradition. We're proud of what this team has done, winning the 5 Super Bowls, and we are in pursuit of that every day to get that 6th one. And not just for any one of us, but for them, for the guys that have put so much into this game that they love so much. So it's very easy. I mean, it's a pride thing, and I talk to more people around the league, and there's a lot of people that want to be a part of what we're building because it's special, but also because of the Cowboys.
1989, we rolled up out here on a bus. We were down at Thousand Oaks. We came up here to have a practice against the Raiders. Al Davis met us right out here on the field. Around this field were green fence and green tarp, as I think it might have been as tall as these structures right here. I mean, it was high. A cricket couldn't see in to watch the practice. It was that void of anybody being around or having any kind of influence on what goes on at practice. We have always been the opposite. We have wanted to practice in front of thousands. I personally believe that when you're out there, your pride, and you're doing a drill, that if you're sitting there doing it in front of thousands of people, that adds something to it. That adds some, not discipline, it just adds what you do when you're an athlete. I've always believed that. We've done that since the day we got here. When I used to practice in college, we'd go out there and practice, and 15 feet away from me, there were 1,000 people sitting on knolls, sitting there watching it. You did not want to get your ass beat on a one-on-one drill in front of all those people. And that you played above your play level, you practiced above it with that skill. That's why, philosophically, I think it helps the team to have the visibility.
Joe Hoyt.
Joe Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. Stephen, there's a shifting defensive tackle market right now. Jalen Carter signed a record-setting deal today. Vita Vea wants a trade. Obviously, you guys are very bullish on Quinnen Williams. Is that something you anticipate maybe having to talk with him and negotiate here in training camp?
Absolutely. I mean, we're very open to that. We want Quintum here for the long haul. Obviously, we've got a lot of resources tied up in him, and he knows what we think about him. We've, had some discussions with the agent about how to go about the process, but certainly he's one of the best in the business, and we know, kind of what that market is. Obviously, it evolves and changes, with each new deal, which is the case, at any position. But certainly he's at the top of the list in terms of people that we want to keep around here long term. And there's other players on the roster that we may take a look at as well as we move forward. Camp seems to always be a nice time, to look at something like that.
You guys told George pretty early you did not want to negotiate with him long term and wanted him to play in the franchise tag. He responded by showing up for mandatory events and obviously coming to training camp. What does that tell you as the owner that George Pickens is doing all these things?
Well, he's a valued part of our aspirations and our potential success. The combination that he has with the other talent on the team, I think, will make you feel pretty positive about what we've got a chance to do. The way we have worked this out is the way it fit. I'm proud that he will work it that way. I'm proud that he will. I hope that he comes out here and is the most prolific, successful receiver in the NFL this year. Now, how would you like to be a free agent and with his credentials and step out there and have a year like that? So I wish all of that, because if that happens, that was good for us. And we did it the way that we thought was best for everybody concerned.
Nick Eatman.
Nick Eatman, DallasCowboys.com. This is for you, Coach. You've talked about 5 offensive linemen, the best offensive linemen on the field together. How do you go about finding that, but also building the continuity of the offensive line at the same time?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, Nick, there's a ton of reps out here. We're going to this deal where, from left to right, Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Tyler Booker, Terrence Steele, but we're going to move guys around and pieces around. And at the end of the day, we've been very open about the fact we're going to play the 5 best guys. We'll find time to move Terrence Steele around. We'll find ways to move Tyler Smith around. But, at the end of the day, the OTAs are good for teaching scheme and some skill development. But it's not until we put the pads on for an offensive lineman that you can get the real, true evaluation of those guys. And we kind of have a timing period that we think we want to have that sorted out. But it's a ways from now.
Smith sounded yesterday a different answer than we've heard. He said he wasn't exactly sure. Is anything changed on his front of where he's going to play?
Yeah, he's going to start at left guard, and we're going to get him some reps at tackle. Why? Just because we got to be ready, but that's no different than Tyler Booker having to get some snaps at center. Because at the end of the day, we're committed to winning and winning now, and we're going to play the 5 best guys. But, again, I'm really excited to see Tyler Guyton, Nate Thomas, Drew Shelton. Those guys compete at tackle as well. So,
Tim
Kalishaw, the Dallas Morning News, still printing 7 days a week. Good to see all of you. Jerry, is that your helicopter, by the way?
I'll tell you this.
Long way out in a helicopter.
You're going to scrimmage the Rams in a couple weeks, and they won a Super Bowl 4 years ago, and you talked about them betting it all for 1 year. They were back in the championship game last year. They made huge moves to get McDuffie and Myles Garrett. Do you look at them and see maybe there's a way, more aggression, being more aggressive than you have been, that works in this era? Do you look at them as a model for that, because you're talking about making a kind of move that you haven't been making?
Yes. I've had the discussion coming to camp with all of us. I admire the job that the Rams have done and how they've done it. That swapping quarterbacks was gutsy, and so they've done it. They've done it and moved. Yes, I admire the way they have put teams together and the way they have competed and sustained the competition. Yes.
And for Brian, when you look at last year, you're an offensive coordinator coming in. The offense was great. The defense was not. Beyond all the changes, coaching and players, Do you look at anything you want to do personally, differently, in how you look at defense and how you examine or coach defense this year?
Yeah, and Tim, it started early on. I mean, we first started with the OTAs. I spent a lot more time on defense than I did last year. I think part of that is, again, excited to hear what Christian and the staff are doing. Him coming from the Fangio tree and the problems that it's kind of given us over the past, 10, 12 years of my time calling plays. But also, I think it's a lot to do with my confidence in Clayton Adams and the job that he's done. I mean, this guy is someone that I just think the world of, no different than what we did with Christian. We went through this process, Jerry, Steve, and myself last year when we found Clayton Adams. And so we'll have some really cool comp days at practice where I won't call the plays and I'll let Clayton and Christian, dial it up against each other. And, I'm looking forward to that because, we need to win as a football team, and we didn't do that enough last year. And that's why we made some of the tough decisions that we made. And you make those decisions to make changes, you better get it right. And I think we did that.
Tommy
Orr, DallasCowboys.com. Brian, you've seen Christian work a little bit in the OTA setting, but what stood out to you about his plan over these next 3.5 weeks to get his players ready to play his defense?
Incredible communicator. I can't say that enough. The way he's an elite coach, Tommy, is when you walk by his office and multiple players are in there wanting to listen and talk to him about scheme and things like that. But the organization, the way he's organized this camp on the defensive side of the ball, from the individual section to the tackling circuit drills to the ball disruption drills to the install packages from first and second down fronts, pressures, coverages, things like that. He is a first-time coordinator that doesn't act like a first-time coordinator.
How difficult is it to, in your first year doing it, you had it as a head coach last year, like you mentioned, this is his year as a coordinator, to put together a plan like that for the first time?
I think if you've never thought about it in your, years prior, it's really hard. But Christian's been preparing for this for 4, 5, 6 years. He's known that this is where he wanted to be in the defensive coordinator's chair of an NFL football team. And again, maybe the hardest working coach I've ever been around. And that's why we're so excited about not just him, but the staff that we put together. The amount of hours that went into identifying the strengths of Christian Parker, Chidera, Derek Ansley, these guys, it was tireless. And so that's why I laugh about it was a quiet offseason. It was on the outside, maybe with storylines, but for us, we worked our asses off. And I'm excited to finally see it all come out into real football.
Michelle
Montaigne, WFAA. Jerry, do you personally feel pressure to win this season?
Yes, I do, for all the obvious reasons. We've got certain things in place here that won't stay in place. Now, I personally think that when you haven't done it before, when you're not necessarily young, you just haven't done it before, I think that is a huge value to your associates. I think that you not ever being some of the things you've always wanted to do. And I think we're going to get a lot of that. Obviously, it's a great thing to have experience of somebody that's done something for 20 years. But that is a good pressure to be involved with a group that has really, they can do something they haven't been a part of. I saw where Williams said he's never been a part of a playoff team. Now think about that player. As accomplished as he is, hadn't been a part of a playoff. Well, there is a big plus there. That's good. So I like the makeup. I'm aware that we're doing some things for the first time in a lot of places, but I think that's going to be offset by with our coaching, the makeup of the coaching, and frankly, the mix of some of the new guys, yet they are veteran players, as they mix with some of the newer guys that are, if you will, last year were playing college. I think all that is a big plus. We'll see. I don't care whether they are rookies or whether they're 10-year guys. If they can't communicate with each other when they get out there. It didn't make any difference on an individual basis where they were. And one of the main things that I have heard us talk about and say in interviews, countless interviews, and after we made the decision of who's going to be doing the coaching, the word of communicate, talking to each other, understanding what it is that the other one expects of the other one. This thing is ad nauseum, the chant. If you listen real hard out there when you're watching practice, you'll hear it be one of the real focal points of this whole camp is communication.
Deuce.
Mike Ducey, Fox 4. Brian, you may have answered this in part, but in spite of how long you've been around the game, were there things, or maybe one thing in particular you experienced having gone through this yourself the first time last year that will serve you especially well in year two?
Yeah, I mean, Mike, it's a longer story than just one response. I mean, you learn things every day when you go through this process. I think, there's countless lessons that you learn. I'm real big into doing after-action reports on everything that we do, from the way we, grade film, the way we throw a practice, the way we have a mock, the way we have a meeting, things like that. And I'm also real big on not rinsing and repeating. What I mean by that is I don't like the first team meeting to feel like the same first team meeting that was last year, right? I think players in this era tune you out. So, but the big thing coming out here is I want us to practice, and I want us to have, really physical practices. And, we know how to practice the right way. We know how to protect one another. But we're excited about getting out there on the grass and playing real football. And, but there's a number of things. I'm always learning. And I honestly lean on everybody. I lean on the players. I lean on Jerry and Steven and Will. And, the way I make decisions is by talking. And it helps me to think out loud like that.
Jerry, Super Bowl's come up a dozen times here already. With that said, what would have to happen for you to consider this a successful season for your football team?
Oh, I think to contend for a Super Bowl, which would, if you contend, you got a real chance of being in it and being in the game. I think those are the kinds of things that I don't believe are an outlandish or a reach to expect. And so that's a successful season. I expect us to be significantly improved defensively. Significantly improved. And I actually expect us to improve over on the offense. And I expect the enthusiasm that Coach has talked about here to be contagious on the field. And if something like that happened, you can have somebody get in the big hunt and get in the deal that maybe a lot of people didn't think were ready for it. So let me just say this: there's no way that I would do anything that would delay until next year or the next year to try to get to a Super Bowl this year. I feel that good about what we're starting with that and it kind of alludes over to what we were talking about if a trade or something like that came along. We certainly can think about, as far as my focus, my individual focus is concerned, I'm interested in being as good as we can opening day.
Clarence.
There's so much talk. We're talking about a quiet off season, and I guess what we mean is there's no drama, right? Not that you haven't done any work. Did you learn anything from last year dealing with Micah and how you dealt with Pickens to eliminate drama this off season?
Well, they were two different, really, two completely different situations and different people. I want to give Shotty really accolade for how he worked through this with George, and in terms of not him, but how he helped us communicate and work through it. This can be a very win-win thing that we've done here, us, George, and George being on the team. Make no mistake about it, George could be a cowboy for the rest of his career, and that'd be a long time. Make no mistake about it. This just fit for us, and thank goodness it fit for him, and we got it done. And let's look at that. It's not uncommon with these teams around the NFL to have this tension going on regarding players and contracts and things. We, of course, are focused when it's us, but this is not uncommon to have happen. It gave us an opportunity, the process gave us an opportunity to make some decisions last year. A lot of people disagree with some of the decisions that we made, but it gave us an opportunity to make some decisions. I think going forward here, we're going to see, hopefully, the positiveness of some of those decisions reflected in this year's football team.
Nick.
I want to talk about the cornerback room, obviously going to be one of the more heated competitions you guys see out here in Oxnard. What's your confidence level and how excited are you to see that competition?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think, when you look at, from top to bottom, Duran obviously did a great job coming back. He feels great. Excited to get him back out there. Siobhan Revel was finally, feeling great, and I thought he had a really good offseason. I'm really very, very pleased with the ability of, DA and Ryan Smith and Christian Parker to, really dive into the finer details of how you play certain coverages and the techniques. Like they spend, ad nauseum amounts of time talking about fundamentals over scheme. We all have the same scheme. It's the way you teach the fundamentals that make the difference. I thought Kobe Durant was an awesome pickup for us. Darion Kendrick. It's going to be a fun battle to watch, and they're going to be able to go up against some of the most elite receivers in the league, which I think is important as well. And but what I expect to see is the confidence of that group grow. And that starts by getting in these practices and getting into the one-on-ones and some of the 7-on-7s and team drills that we do and watching those guys compete. And the thing that will be definitely different this year with CP is the trash talk because he's pretty good at it.
Before we close out, I want to give a shout out to ESPN's Todd Archer, who would have been here. He placed himself on the non-football related injury list, and we miss him, but I know he's watching, observing, monitoring, getting ready to write, tweeting, all of that. We look forward to him getting back at it and joining us back here because he's one of our regular longtime beats, and we miss him. So thank you, Todd. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you.